Hi guys, welcome back. So my channel is based around health and wellness and self-care, and how we eat plays a big role in our overall wellness, especially when it affects us in a negative way. So today my goal is to share everything that I have learned with anybody out there who struggles with overeating and help them to overcome it. You should seek the advice of a medical professional if you're somebody who binge eats. Just to be clear, this video is on overeating, not binge eating. Now that being said, I hope you're able to watch until the end because these tips are the very best, the best that I could find, and have helped me tremendously in stopping the overeating once and for all. Let's get into it. Now let's start with some telltale signs that you may be an overeater. Then we'll talk about why you're overeating because that is important. And then we'll get into the meat and the potatoes. How do we overcome it? So the very first sign that you may be an overeater is you often eat past the point of satisfaction, and you eat until you start experiencing discomfort. You feel stuffed. Now the stomach is quite elastic. It can hold 3 to 4 liters or around 16 cups of food at a time. But overeating will make you feel sluggish, bloated, nauseated even, and you could experience acid reflux. Number 2, you often eat very quickly. Now, this doesn't mean everybody who eats quickly is an overeater, but it is a telltale sign that you're going to overeat, as it takes about 20 minutes or so for your brain to receive the signal that the stomach is full. Number 3, you find yourself eating every time you have a craving instead of eating when you're actually hungry. This was a big one for me. Being able to tell the difference between feeling hunger and feeling hungry for something specific. Those cravings are strong. When you see a commercial or a YouTube ad that shows a big, juicy, delicious burger, or maybe your favorite ice cream sundae, and all of a sudden you just feel this overwhelming urge to run out and get that thing, but you didn't actually experience those feelings of hunger. It's called food noise, and that can kind of confuse us a little bit and make us feel like we're ready to eat when we're really not. So of course it's important to recognize when you're actually hungry and when you're simply having a food craving. Number 4, if you find yourself mindlessly snacking out of boredom, or maybe you're just distracted watching your favorite TV show or a movie, you might miss those cues that you're actually satisfied because you're distracted doing something else. Or how about eating when your emotions are high, when you're feeling stressed, anxious, sad, down, trying to find a way to self-soothe? And then finally, number 5, you may be an overeater if you're active but you continue to gain weight. The scale is slowly going up even though you're exercising and getting your steps in. And I just want to mention, this is a sign that you're taking in too many calories. So it could be that you're not necessarily overeating, but you're just eating the wrong foods and too much of them. So if you're somebody who goes to restaurants and fast food places quite often, we know that those foods are calorie dense, and you could be indulging in too much of those items. Consistent weight gain can also be due to medical conditions, certain medications, or past rigorous dieting practices that really messed up your metabolism for the remainder of your life. Unfortunately, people who diet hardcore for years and years, they mess up their system, and they often have to go on like a 500 calorie per day diet in order to lose any weight at all because their system is so messed up. I was reading a lot about that too, and I was like, oh my gosh, can you imagine eating 500 calories a day? But anyway, now let's get into the causes of overeating. Why do we do it? Why is this so common? Why can't you stop? What is going on? So some of the most common reasons for overeating is emotional eating, especially for us women, men too, but especially women. Feeling the need to self-soothe through food. Eating releases endorphins, so it's common for people to just reach for things that are cheesy, salty, sweet to help us feel better because life is hard. And sometimes a good slice of cheesecake or a half a bag of potato chips is just what you feel like you need. But it is a root cause of overeating. And in the long run, you regret it and you feel terrible. It does nothing good for you. Emotional eating can come from food noise, anxiety and depression, past trauma. There's so many reasons why we do it. So of course, I'm not faulting anybody. I'm just trying to help you identify some of the reasons why you may be participating in this type of behavior. Another reason why we might be overeating is due to waiting too long to eat in between meals. Skipping meals will make you feel so hungry once it's time to eat that next meal that you overeat. You're eating a lot faster than normal because you're so hungry and you don't give yourself enough time to start to feel satisfied. The next one is food cravings. We know that the more we eat processed foods, the more we crave them. Food that comes in a package, fast food, and studies show that these specific foods do demonstrate a addictive potential, especially foods with added sugars in them. The added sugars, you guys, you would be amazed. I know you might be thinking of like the typical stuff like salad dressings, ketchup, barbecue sauce. Yeah, we know that those have added sugars in them. But what about the stuff that's not so obvious? What about a packet of tuna? I have a packet of Sunkist garlic flavored tuna and the 4th or 5th ingredient is sugar. Yes. And added sugars is what has greatly contributed to this obesity epidemic that we're living in. The flour tortillas, the healthy yogurts, the plant milks, beef jerky, marinara sauces, and the list goes on. Of course, you can find brands that will sell these items with no added sugars, but you really have to flip over those packages and look to see. And the last one is being a millennial. If you're a millennial, you know that you grew up in a household most likely where your parents served you an adult-sized portion of food and set it in front of you for dinner and said, you are not leaving until you eat everything on your plate. That was the big thing, you eat everything on your plate. These are some of the main reasons of why we are overeaters today. Now let's talk about what we all came here for. How do you overcome being an overeater? I have 12 of these. Please listen to all of them if you can, because I think they're really going to help some people. The first thing that you should do before you actually eat something is stop and reflect for a moment. Ask yourself 2 things. Number 1, am I craving something? Am I actually hungry and is it mealtime? Or do I have a strong craving for something specific? Number 2, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling anxious, stressed? Am I worrying about something? Do I feel really down? Am I bored? And don't even get me started on the week before the period. That is when healthy eating and everything that you've practiced goes out the window. It is so hard due to hormones for you to control your consumptions. It's not impossible to do, but it is difficult because the food cravings are strong. During this time, I was listening to, I think a gynecologist talk about this. She was saying when the hormones fluctuate and the week before the period happens, you do feel more hungry, you are hungrier. So it is okay to increase your calories during that time. It's just important to be mindful of what you're eating. Increasing your calories and eating more isn't a ticket to go for the potato chips, the ice cream, the snack cakes. It's just to eat more of your healthy meal. So more veggies, more protein, and it's okay to have some more carbs as well, especially protein. It is the most satiating micronutrient out there. The next one, fill up on fiber. This is so important, and it is a huge way that can get you to finally stop overeating. Protein and fiber are the 2 things that you want to fill up on. Americans on average consume somewhere around 10 to 15% of fiber per day, and we should really be around 30% per day. Fiber is so crucial because it helps us with controlling our blood sugar, digestive health, weight management, colon cancer, preventing colon cancer, and heart disease prevention, which is the number 1 killer in men and women today. Out of all medical conditions, heart disease is what kills us. I love to say, think of vegetables on your plate as an equivalent to your protein. A lot of us grew up thinking of vegetables as a side dish, but you should really be working your plate around your vegetables and your protein, like half and half, and then put your fruit and your carbs, a little pasta, a little rice, potato, whatever you want. The fiber and the protein, those are the star of the show. It keeps you full longer, which in turn helps you lose weight if that's a goal of yours. The next tip is to use a smaller plate. We love large portions in the restaurants, at home, the comfort food, when you go to a diner, when you go to brunch in general. It's important that we learn portion control. We don't need to be filling our plates to maximum capacity. And something that will help us kind of bring that amount down is using the small plates. It's going to come natural to you at dinner time to just put the food on the plate, but you're not going to be able to fit what you would normally put as an overeater. And eating slowly is very helpful. Some people say, oh, chew your food 30 times before swallowing. That's disgusting. I don't know who recommends that, but who said 30 times? When the food in the mouth is fully liquefied, it's just not appealing to swallow. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Now, I will eat slower. I'll take a couple bites and then I'll put my fork down. Girl, put it down. It's hard for me to not just take one bite after the other. I love food so much. It's so comforting. It's so delicious, especially if you're a Latin girl like me and you can cook. I like a lot of flavor and I like good food. Put the fork down, have some conversation with people around you, or just look on your phone if you're by yourself. Wait, 20, 30 seconds, pick up your fork again, take a few bites, and then put the fork down. This is helpful. Oh my goodness, I do not eat as much when I slow down the eating. This next tip is something that's really common amongst the Asian community that I learned not too long ago actually, and that is eating until you're about 80% full and then stopping. By eating slower and then stopping when I'm around 80% full really helps my hunger cue, or like my fullness cue rather, come sooner. Eating a small amount and paying attention to how I'm feeling after each bite rather than quickly eating a large portion and then feeling so stuffed afterwards. Remember that I said one of the signs that you could be an overeater is when you're skipping meals? Stop skipping meals. Moving right along to the next one. Oh, this is huge, you guys. Remove the junk food from your house. And I know some of you out there might be thinking, oh, I have to keep, a couple of things, Pop-Tarts and chips for the kids. I need it for school lunch. I'm telling you, stop buying it. It's always going to be there as a temptation for you to go into the pantry and just have a few. And before you know it, you're eating half a bag. If it's not in your home, you won't be tempted to eat it, and it would be an inconvenience for you to go out and buy some chips every time you have a chip craving. And eating junk food will contribute to your overeating, because even after you eat your nice, small, healthy portion size meal, and you think, I'll just have a few potato chips afterwards, you're gonna be overeating on them because they're just so addictive. And when it comes to the kids, you guys, I have been there too. I used to think the same way. I've learned that I'm only creating bad eating habits for them when they get older. You really are doing them a disservice when you're giving them the junk food every single day. Number one, it's expensive. Number two, it's not good for them. And number three, it just makes them addicted to those foods. So they're gonna grow up having the same problem that you're having. Do them a favor and just stop buying it now. All right, the next one is, don't use food as a reward system. Looking at food as a reward or as a punishment is what establishes the unhealthy relationship that you have with food. Food is made to nourish our bodies, to sustain us, to give us energy, and to help us feel well. I used to be the cake queen. I had such a hard week at work. I'm gonna go out and buy a sheet cake. That's how I rewarded myself. It was too much. The next tip is to keep a food journal. This one's very powerful. It is amazing how we think we eat and how we actually eat. The data doesn't lie, and when you write it down on paper and you look at it every day for 7 days, it's like, okay, the weight gain makes sense. But also, it will help you identify when you start eating certain foods, depending on what's going on in your life when you have a journal. When you see, oh, I started the week off really healthy and really balanced, and then things started to get really junk foody, or I started to eat in a surplus that's not typical of my normal portion, you can start reflecting what was going on that day, figuring out exactly what your trigger foods are, so on and so forth. Another really great way to help you stop overeating is to make sure that you eat in a certain way, as in keeping your blood sugar stable. I didn't know exactly how important this was until I purchased a book by the Glucose Goddess. I'll have it linked in the description below. It's a really easy read and it's so informative. And what I've learned is it's important to eat in order so that your blood sugar doesn't spike up and then come down, because once it comes down, you're even more hungry and the types of foods that you want are the ones that aren't good for you. So the idea is to not spike it every time we eat, but to have it come up a little bit and stay a little more stable. The thing that spikes our blood sugar the most is carbs, sugar basically. The order in which she recommends you eat is your vegetables first, and then move on to your protein, then eat your carb. When you eat this way, you're gonna notice, wow, I feel really good after eating. I feel energetic. You don't have that afternoon crash. You don't have the food cravings. You feel amazing. This was life-changing. Next tip. Remember that this is not about willpower. You cannot rely on your feelings to ensure you eat the amount of food that's appropriate for your body. You have to plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. Especially as an overeater, food planning needs to be a part of your daily or like weekly routine. I love to pull most of my food planning ideas from Pinterest because they look so aesthetically pleasing and delicious. We eat with our eyes first, so utilizing YouTube and Pinterest and social media in general is a great idea to help you find some great recipes. And the very last tip that I have for you guys today is, as an overeater, try intermittent fasting. The reason why this is so successful for so many people is because most people who practice fasting don't feel as hungry throughout the day. Fasting influences the level of hormones that are produced that regulate your appetite, primarily by lowering your hunger hormone called ghrelin, I think that's what it's called, and raising the fullness hormone called leptin. It's like your body's natural appetite suppressant. And leptin can signal to your brain that you feel satiated even if your stomach is empty. Is that not a hack? And that effect becomes even more pronounced as you go on your intermittent fasting journey. So definitely try it. Just start off with 12 hours, then move up to 14. And you can stay at 14, but if you can do 16, even better. I hope you guys found today's tips helpful. It's always my goal to encourage you guys and make you feel understood and seen and know that you're not alone when it comes to various areas of your health and wellness journey. That's literally all I care about. If you enjoyed today's video, please let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, and until next time, bye for now.